Good afternoon, I'm Satish Mahabir. Here's a look at some of the stories making the news at this time on CNC3 and the TBC Radio Network. With the government set to implement the new property tax regime from the first quarter of 2010, energy sector companies are getting ready to better understand how their plants, machinery and other capital assets will be valuated. The South Trinidad Chamber of Industry and Commerce says it will host a 3-day workshop to assist the companies in the energy sector better understand the issue of capital asset valuation. This is critical since under the legislation, government will assess the value of a company's assets to determine the amount of property tax it will pay. Energy companies will discuss the effects of the new tax regime and formulate a strategy for complying with the new tax code. Meantime, although the property tax has already passed its first hurdle in the lower house, Attorney-at-Law and Congress Deputy Political Leader Prakash Ramadhar is calling on constitutional experts to come forward and join the fight against the property tax.
We intend to take action on that. Constitutionally, they require majority before that law is passed. In that effort, action will be taken, and I will say today that I will be asking all those with talent in constitutional law, Mr. Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and many others, to join in our effort to resist this in the courts of Trinidad and Tobago.
Ramadhar was a guest on the CNC3 Early Morning Show. Protests in Matura today as angry residents highlight their concerns about water supplies. President of the Matura Village Council, Mr. Albert Charles, said the supply is irregular and residents are now angry and frustrated.
Some people said, you see, we tired talking, we want to demonstrate, so that they will draw attention to the authorities that something ought to be done. But I'm hoping to write 2 letters to the line minister, pointing out the matters that I've just said to you, the efficiency of what WASA is trying to do and what they should do.
Overseas, an American Airlines plane has overshot the runway on landing in the Jamaican capital, Kingston. Reports from Jamaica say flight AA331 from Miami, with about 150 people on board, broke apart after the incident at Norman Manley International Airport. Jamaican Information Minister Darrell Vaz said 44 people had been taken to nearby hospitals for treatment. American Airlines said the impact had broken off the right engine. Spokesman Tim Smith said the fuselage was cracked and the main landing gear had collapsed. Investigations into the crash are continuing. And that's a look at some of the stories making the news at this time on CNC3 and the TBC Radio Network. Stay tuned for another news update at the top of the hour.